morning. Welcome back to the Kneady Homesteader channel, you guys. And today we're going to bake our very first, if you're new to sourdough and you've struggled, we're going to be baking our very first loaf of very simple sourdough bread. So this is going to be, I'm going to link this in the playlist that we made for the heirloom starter. I will leave a link up above in, I think it's in this corner. It's in this corner. I'll leave the link to the whole series. There's only, I think, 3 videos. There might be 4, but I'll link it up there. So this is for those of you out there who struggle with sourdough. Okay, sourdough does not come easy for everyone. Just like anything else. Like for me, making vinegar does not come easy for me. Somehow, some way, I will find a way to mold it. So, you know, some people, you know, my girlfriend Allison is really good at making scobies. I've never made a SCOBY. So whatever it is, everybody has their thing that they might struggle with. It's totally fine. It's totally normal. But how do you work past that, right? So I started a little series using an heirloom sourdough from 1916, I believe, from San Francisco, from the Fisherman's Wharf. I will leave a link to it down below. I got it on Amazon. It's $14.99. I think it's worth every single penny if you struggle with making sourdough starter. Okay, so you know, I'm helping a woman right now. She's, I think, into it 3 weeks. She's, you know, made 3 starters and she's just struggling. And this sometimes happens. So I don't want you to feel bad if you struggle. We're just trying to find ways to work around it because there's bigger things to tackle than sitting there for weeks on end, struggling and being discouraged and not being able to make bread. So if you find you need help, and it's easier for you to start with a starter that's already very well established, then go for it. There's no shame in it. There's no, and honestly, you know, if you keep it alive and you take care of it, you're always going to have it. So if you are someone who has been wanting to make sourdough bread, and sourdough bread has a lot of health benefits, and it's very good too if you are type 2 diabetic, because it does not spike your insulin like regular yeast bread does. So it's wonderful. It's wonderful for you. And if you have just been wanting to make it, because quite frankly, buying a loaf of sourdough bread now, I don't know about the prices where you are, they go about $6, $7, $8 a loaf here. That's a lot of money, especially if you really want to start eating sourdough for like your daily sandwich bread and you know, hamburger, but anything that you want to do, you know, your bagels, your English muffins, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to switch over to. So so like usual, I prayed over it, and I was led to this particular sourdough starter. It's very easy to get. It's right on Amazon. The shipping is a bit slow. It's about 7 to 10 days to get it, but it came. We opened it up together. We fed it together. We got it started together, and it was beautiful. Everyone that has tried it so far, and if you have tried it, please leave a comment down below and let others know if you struggled at all with it or if it took off for you. But so far, the consensus says that everyone was able to start it and it took off beautiful for them. So leave a comment down below if you've tried it. So now we have our starter, and it's growing. We've had it now for a little while. It's past the holidays. I know Thanksgiving kind of snuck in there. But now you have this sourdough starter. So now what? So we are going to bake a very, very easy 4-ingredient sourdough bread. Okay. And if it fails for you the first time, I don't want you to be discouraged. Just keep trying. Before you get into all the other, you know, wonderful things you can do by making all different sorts of wonderful sourdough breads, let's conquer the 4-ingredient easy one. And this one came from Patrick Ryan. And I didn't write down, and this is old, like this is when I started sourdough. From, I think it's Cooking with Ireland. I will leave a link to his channel up above, and I'll also link it down below in case you don't get that card, because not everybody, YouTube, exit YouTube. Not everybody can see the cards up above in the corner. So I'll leave a link to his channel down below. And it was his channel that really helped me with my sourdough starter. His videos were wonderful. His like beginner learning sourdough was wonderful. So I strongly suggest that if you are in your sourdough era to go over there, subscribe to his channel. I don't know if he still makes videos or not, but he was wonderful and I really enjoyed his videos. So all credit for this recipe goes to him, okay? So it is, we're going to use bread flour, we're going to use warm water, we're going to use salt, and we're going to use our sourdough starter. Now, this can be baked 2 ways, okay? You can let it rise for 2 to 3 hours, punch it down. If you're using loaf pans or anything like that where it's smaller, or a small Dutch oven, however you choose to bake it, this will make 2 smaller loaves or 1 large loaf. I am going to be making 1 large loaf. I'm going to be using my, Danny bought it for me for Christmas last year. It's a Le Creuset chef's pot, and I believe it's 7.5 quarts, so she's large. She makes a beautiful large round loaf of bread. So that's what I'm going to be using, but you don't have to. You can divide this dough in half and then put it in 2 separate containers, Dutch ovens, whatever it is that you're going to bake your bread in, loaf pans, whatever you want to do, but it will make 2 smaller loaves or 1 large loaf, okay? We're going to keep this really simple. So this video is not going to be for those probably who have mastered sourdough bread and have, you know, made tons and tons of loaves and don't struggle. This is strictly for those, I have a calling on my heart to help those who are just stumbling in the beginning stages. I think once you're up and running and you're successful, you're just going to keep getting better and better and better. And that's kind of how it is baking bread. You know, when I first started making bread, I used to make bricks. Like you could kill a small animal and chucking a loaf of my bread at it. They were bricks. Not even the birds would eat it. I throw the bread out and not even the birds would eat my bread. And then I just kept at it. And I was making 3 loaves of bread a day when I first started to learn. And every time I made it, I got a little better and a little better. And then I just started giving it out to people. My sons would come over with their friends. I'd send them home with the loaf of bread. Because once I got it, I just wanted to keep getting it. So I promise you, you will get there. I don't want anyone who's struggling to be discouraged, okay? I want to be a word of encouragement for you today to just keep trying. So that's who I'm aiming these videos for, and this video series for. It's for those of you who have tried and tried and tried, and you either kill your sourdough starter or it molds on you, you can't get it going. We've conquered that. We've solved that. Now we want to get you up and running and baking a loaf of bread. And this bread, because it's so simple in the ingredients, I don't want to complicate anything for you. I want to keep it as simple and easy and as stress-free as possible, okay? So that you can enjoy bread and baking bread. It's such a joy to me. It is such good therapy for, not only for my body, but my spirit. For my spirit, it is, there's something just about baking a loaf of bread that's so simplistic and just connects you to your ancestors, connects you to other women who have gone before you. I can't explain it, but it's such a joy for me. And it has been a huge part of my healing and my grief journey. So anyway, okay, with that, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to take you into the kitchen. We're going to get started. I will say I started a loaf of bread last night, so that because I asked some of you, do you want this video all in one or do you want it in a two-part? And majority of you said all in one. That way you didn't have to go searching for part two, which I totally get. So what I did is, instead of me having to film 2 days and then combine it into one video, I went ahead last night. I just started a loaf of bread and I put it in my fridge. I like the long fermenting option. You can do, I think I started to say that, I'm sorry, brain injury. You can do this bread 2 ways. You can let it rise for an hour and a half. Well, it can take 2 to 3 hours for the first rise, okay? It's just all going to depend on how warm it is or how cold it is. I have a proof option in my oven. It's one of the reasons why I bought that oven. So I can hit bread proof, and it gives the perfect temp inside my oven. So the first rise is going to be 2 to 3 hours. Then you're going to pull that out, you're going to punch it down, we're going to shape it, we're going to divide it in half for 2 loaves, smaller loaves, or you're going to keep it together like I did and do 1 big loaf. You're going to shape it, and then what I do is I then put it in the fridge overnight, and I let it long ferment for 8 to 10 hours. You don't have to do that if you want to bake that bread that day. You just have to, let's see, the second rise would be 3 hours, okay? So this, if you think about it, 6 hours of rise time, okay? Add in, it's 35 minutes to bake. So this is going to be a long sourdough. Is slow and steady. So factor in about 8 hours, because you also have to make it, and you have to punch it down. You have to factor in about an 8 hour, about an 8 hour, 7 to 8 hour bake time for, or prep time for making this from the beginning to end. 7 to 8 hours, okay? So do this on a day, like a rainy day, a day that you have a ton of laundry to do like I do. You know, just one of your slower days. This isn't going to be something that you're going to want to do when you have like a ton of errands to run and you got to pick up kids here and there, and you know, your days are busy. You got, you know, Bible study at night. When you got a lot going on. This is definitely for a slow day. I chose to put mine in the fridge and let it slow rise 8 to 10 hours in the fridge. I like that way, and then that way I bring it out in the morning. Right now that loaf is warming up, and then this way, when we get it into that stage, I can just go ahead and bake the one that I made last night, and I can film all of this in one video for you and get it up tonight for you. So I want to get this out to you guys so you guys can start baking sourdough bread before the holidays, before Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all the holidays, the winter solstice, whatever you celebrate, okay? All right, with that, we're going to go in the kitchen. I'm going to show you really quickly my sourdough home. I did a whole video on this. I'll leave a link to that up above as well. And I will tell you, my sourdough has just been so happy set in there. Now I did turn, I've had this at 68 degrees ever since I got it. But this morning I did switch it up to 72 because, I don't know if you can see, all the way out there, but we have snow on the ground. So it snowed here last night, so it's very chilly in my kitchen. So I did turn that up, and then we're gonna do this all right here because we do have to weigh things out, and I have to grab my jar and my little mixer here. Okay, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to weigh out my sourdough because of course I don't want to use all of it. We're going to be using the discard, okay? And this, I fed this last night before I went to bed, and it's already risen, and it's now on its way down, and so it's good to go. It's ready to go. All right, so let me get set up here. Okay, so first and foremost, let me see if I can just aim this a little easier for you to see. And my kitchen counter is not level. I'll tell you, if I could switch up my counters, I would. There we go. We're level there. All right. All right. We need 320 grams of starter, okay? So we are going to measure out 320 grams of starter. And I know this part can be very confusing. I will strongly suggest that if you're doing sourdough, you get a scale and you get a thermometer, because I've seen people try to use it without it and they struggle, and we do not want you to struggle, okay? You do not need a fancy dancy scale like I have, okay? I have the KitchenAid. I love it. It's a double scale. I use it all the time. But not many of you are, you know, you might not bake bread or have to weigh things out as much as I do. You can get a simple $10 scale. I will find one. I'll find the one that I started out with if they still have it, but I'll find one close to it. And I'll leave that link down below to you. I'll also leave a link to this one for anyone who is going to make a lot of bread and wants a bit of a nicer scale, okay? So the first thing that I'm going to do, we're going to turn on our scale. And we're going to make sure that it's at 0. Now, we are going to add our jar, okay, and then we're going to take that back to 0, and we're going to measure in grams here, okay? Most bread recipes are done in grams, okay? Back to 0. All right, and then with my sourdough starter, I am just going to go ahead. I'm just going to give this a little bit of a stir, just a little. It's very, let me show you what this looks like, because this really is for beginners. Okay, this is what you want your sourdough to look like. It's very spongy, okay? It's almost like glue. It's very spongy. It snaps back. It's very, very fluffy, very spongy, full of bubbles. Okay, I'm going to try to level out my scale again. All right. So we are at 0. We need 320. I always go a little over, so I'm going to go to 350, okay? Just because some of it's going to stay in the jar. So 340, 350. Now, the way that this pours out is going to be, it's very spongy, okay? So it's very... So if your sourdough starter looks like this, you have got beautiful starter. All right. Keep going till we get to... All right, we're at 337. I'll at least take it to... There we go. We're at 360 now. Okay, now I'm going to aim you back again. I don't want to miss any spots, because this is what I needed. This is what I needed to see and know when I was making sourdough, and nobody showed it. So you see, this is all that we have left. This is plenty to feed and get going again, okay? This is plenty to get we're going to feed it again, and it's going to multiply, and it's going to be fine. So don't worry, just don't use it all. Leave a little so you can feed it and grow it again, okay? So this is 362. What I like about going slightly over is that, first off, it's not going to hurt your bread at all if you have a little bit extra. But I don't have to worry so much about scraping this out of the jar and getting every single bit of it as I can. So I always like to go a little bit over so I don't struggle. So now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of skip you over here to my mixer, and now I'm going to get the same stick here, and I'm going to pour this right into my bowl here. And as much scraped out as I can. Such a bad angle, sorry. I don't want to hit you. I'm sorry if I hit you. Okay. All right, now I'm going to show you my jar. You see how there's there's quite a bit left in there, you know. I mean, you'd have to scrape it with a spatula to get it all out. And I just don't like doing that. So, okay, so that is that. Now, I like to add, I have found that I get better results when I add the water first versus adding the flour, okay? And then your salt is always going to be last because salt can kill yeast, okay? So we always want to lay the salt either on top of the flour or we mix it in at the end, okay? So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to put that to 0 and I'm going to add my measuring cup here. Again, get that back to 0. And we are adding 460 grams of warm water. This should not be super warm. We're talking like baby bottle, okay? So we're going to add 460. And that's going to be, now it's 463, it's okay if you go a little over. That's roughly about 2 cups, okay? So now, I'm just going to aim you up. And I'm going to pour that in with my sourdough, okay? Now, I'm going to tear this out again. And for those of you who have never had a kitchen scale, I never had a kitchen scale before learning how to make bread. Tearing means just going back to 0, okay? So we're going to tear this out again. And now I'm going to put my bowl. Tear it. My counter is much more level under the lights, which is usually where I have you guys. But this counter is not even. Okay, we're going to tear this out again, okay? And now we are going to be adding 800 grams of bread flour. Right. So, I'm just going to take a 1 cup measuring cup and we're going to start adding this until we get to 800. We want to use bread flour for this, not all purpose. Oh, so close. All right, now I'm going to take my tablespoon so I don't go over. All right. All right. That's good. That's good. Don't have to get super, I don't want you guys to worry about having to be super spot on because you'll notice last night's bread, I had to add extra flour to it because it was way too sticky to even handle. So, but then sometimes I'll make this and 800 is exactly spot on. So it changes, it varies. Depends on how old your flour is. If it's freshly milled, it's going to require a little bit more. If it's dry because it's older, 800 might be spot on. I never add all of it. I always hold back, you know, probably 100 grams. And I see how my dough is mixing up. And, you know, I've shown you that in many, many videos. So, you guys probably already know the drill on that if you've been subscribed to me for a while. Okay, so now we have our, let's see if I can zoom in. Can I zoom in? There's our starter, and then there's our warm water. All right, so now we are going to go ahead. I'm going to take out, now we do need, that's right, hold on, I'm going to scoot you back, and I'm just going to weigh this out now while I'm here. We need 10 grams of, hold on because I can't stand a mess. We need 10 grams of salt, and this is going to wobble again. Let me find a, there we go. All right, tear that out. We've got our salt, and I'm just going to use a little half a cup measuring cup there. Okay. Tear that out. And then we are going to go ahead, and I just have sea salt. And measure out 10 grams. Perfect. So I'm going to add about, well, I'll show you. It's just easier to explain. We'll get this, alright, we'll get this going first. So let me lift you up there. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and I'm going to add about a cup of flour into this. I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring. Okay. And then I'm just going to start getting this mixed up. We're going to go on a level 2. If you're using a KitchenAid, you never go over speed 2 when you're using the dough hook. Now, I get this about halfway added. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flour and I'm going to take the salt. I'm going to pour that salt in like that. And then I'm going to take a little whisk and whisk that salt into the flour. It just gives it, for me, it just makes sure that I don't kill my starter or my yeast, okay? So, I'm going to keep adding here. Now, I'm going to be leaving all of this in. I'm not going to edit through this. I'm not going to speed through it. I want you to be able to see the entire process. Again, it's something that I wish I had, and I film the way that I like to learn. And if you're really struggling, you will appreciate just watching the whole thing. Okay. I know these videos aren't going to be for everyone. But who they are meant for, I got you. I got you back. We're going to make sourdough bread. We're going to get you going. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add the remaining, because I can already tell I'm going to need it all, which is a good thing. Now I'm going to bring over my bucket of bread flour, just in case I need to add a little bit more. We're going to let that kind of incorporate right now and get that flour into that dough ball. But this isn't going to be, you know, like a stretch and fold type of recipe, okay? This is just a very basic loaf of bread using our sourdough, just so we can get you going. The fancier sourdoughs, those beautiful loaves that belong in magazines, we will get there. This video is not going to be that, okay? Oh, it smells so good. Now, I can tell that's still a bit moist, and I think it's going to break down on me. But we'll just watch it. We'll watch it, and I'll show you. If it does break down on me, I'll show you what that looks like. So that if you find it happens to you, you know how to fix it. And all you do is add more flour, okay? But I can already tell that it's pretty sticky. I can see it kind of sticking to the side of that bowl. You see it? The more it spins, okay, there's the breakdown. See how it's starting to break down now? See how it's breaking down? The stickiness is too much. And then all of a sudden it will become a wet blob. So when you see that starting to happen, you're just going to tap in a little extra flour. A little bit at a time. I'd say a tablespoon at a time, okay? We don't want this super dry, but we also don't want it to stick to our hands. Sprinkle a little bit more. Looking much better. It's just a little bit more. I want to see all that dough at the bottom of my mixer get picked up. Now, I'm going to stop this and I'm going to feel it. And it's just a little bit sticky, but it's not sticking to my fingers, okay? So I am just about there. I might just add a tad bit more. Get the rest of that dough picked up. And I think we are there. So you see, it wasn't much. If you have to add it, add it. 800 grams is just a guide, okay? Now, I had a little extra sourdough in here, which is probably why I needed a little extra flour. That's fine. It's not gonna hurt the bread or affect it in any way. So now I'm watching the bottom of that dough ball to see if it's sticking at all, if it's gonna break down on me. And it looks beautiful. You can see the side of the side of the bowl. To me, that's clean. Sometimes it'll be spotless clean, sometimes not, but for the most part, that is clean. So now this is when I'm going to set my timer for 5 minutes. Timer, 5 minutes, start. And I'm going to let this knead. Keep an eye on it. If it starts to break down, add just a little bit more flour. But at this point, it's doing beautiful. And I don't foresee it breaking down on me at all. So I'm going to let this now knead for 5 minutes. And then I'll come back and I'll show you the next. So while that's mixing, what I'm going to do is, in my sourdough, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to scrape out the last remaining. I'm going to show you how I feed it at this point when you don't have a lot left. Okay. We're going to add it back into this bowl here. So I'm not going to worry about scraping this bowl out or anything else. You can rinse it out if you want to keep it nice and clean. I'm just going to kind of take my damp towel around the edge there. Okay. And then we're going to go ahead and we are going to find a level in my counter. And we're going to tear that out. And now I'm going to just weigh to see how much sourdough I have in here. I'm hoping for 80 grams. I'm hoping for 80 grams. See if we can get it. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm gonna put it all in there. Well, what I can scrape. Alright. Okay, so we ended up with 100. That's fine. Alright, so now I know I have 100 grams in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add 200 grams of water. Warm water, not, I'm talking baby bottle warm, okay? So I'm going to weigh out 200. a little over, that's fine. Okay, I'm just gonna put this there so you can see. So I'm gonna add my water right to there. Take my stick blender. I love these stick blenders I bought. I will leave a link for them down below. They're wooden. I just use them for sourdough, nothing else. And they are wonderful because, you know, I have injured wrists and fingers, injured hands. And so stirring is sometimes a struggle for me. I take that back, it's always a struggle for me now. So I've learned to pivot and find solutions to my issues. And that way I don't struggle, and it's a joy. And, you know, I think that's why the Lord has me sharing here, because I know many of you struggle too. So we'll struggle together. Okay, now we're going to do the bowl. Okay, I'm going to tear that out. Okay, and now I'm using unbleached organic all-purpose flour. And now we're going to want 200 grams of this. Smidgen more. And I'm just going to go a little bit over here. Yeah, that's good. Okay. So now, shut this off. You got. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, oh, where's my, I have like a coffee tablespoon here. Add the flour in so I don't make a mess. If you're good with your hands, you probably don't have to do it this way, but this is one of my pivots, you know. My hands don't hold as much weight like they used to, so, okay. Now I'm going to take my sourdough mixer, and we're just going to mix that in. And now my sourdough is fed again, and it's actually at a quantity where I can bake another loaf of bread tomorrow. I can use the pour off and give some sourdough to a friend, whatever you want to do with it. Put it in pancakes. Okay. Now, if it's super thick, like this is super thick, you see, it's very elasticy too. I'm just adding a smidgen more water. Just a smidgen. Now I've got some fresh flour on order at my Mennonite bulk food store. Got a 50-pound bag of King Arthur organic unbleached all-purpose flour coming. So it's going to be fresher than what I'm using right now. So it probably won't take extra water then. But this is the consistency you want, like peanut butter. Like peanut butter. Of course, it's going to be a lot more elasticy, kind of rubbery. Almost like a glue. Alright, and then what I like to do, I'm going to get that off of there. And then I like to take like one of these little tiny spatulas, and I like just to scrape down the sides just to make it a little neater. Now in the sourdough house, nothing gets dried out. It's pretty wonderful. Alright, and then we go take this to the sink and wash my hands, and I'm going to aim you up to the house. And we're going to put our sourdough right in there. And that's where it's going to be. And it's going to sit. And this reminds me not to forget about my sourdough. It's been wonderful. If you're going to make a lot of sourdough, you might want to look into investing in that. I absolutely love it, and it has made, like, even trying to remember with my memory, my brain issues, this has taken, it's been such a blessing. So worth every penny of the $100 I spent. Okay, so now we are back to our sourdough bread and our dough ball, and this is beautiful. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that down without hitting you. I'm gonna take the hook out, and then I'm gonna take you over to the butcher block. So now we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get our dough hook off of there, and I'm gonna drop it in my hot soapy water in my sink. And then I'm just gonna take a bowl scraper and I'm gonna scrape this out of here. Now, sourdough is not gonna be like yeast dough, as in it's gonna be a little sticky, okay? If you find that it's a little sticky, I'm just gonna grab a little bit of just all-purpose flour, just a little bit. See how it sticks right there like that? Okay, I'm gonna show you how I handled that, okay? You're just gonna take your scraper, and again, if you make bread, this is all simple for you, but this is really for the people who just really want to make bread and have never done it or have struggled with it, okay? So I just do it so that it's not super sticky. It's still gonna be a little tacky, okay? Because that's just how sourdough is. So now I'm just gonna, I love this part. I wish I had the hands and the wrists to do dough from scratch. All right, we're gonna get this into a beautiful ball. Okay, now I'm gonna hit it just a little bit, little lightly. I'll leave this down below, these little T-balls. They're great for, well, not only powdered sugar, but they're really great for flour. And I'm just gonna, I'm kind of scooping and pinching the dough under and rotating it, and I'm just forming a nice tight dough ball. And I'm no professional, okay? I'm just a mom who's been making bread for 10 years. That's it. All right. I got my bowl. I'm going to be adding some extra virgin olive oil to it. And this is just so it doesn't stick while it rises. Okay. Just a little drizzle. And then we're going to pick up our ball. I always put pretty side down, spin it in the oil, and then flip it over, and that is it. Now I'm going to wet a flour sack towel. I'll lay this over. Typically this would go in my oven on the proof setting, again, 2 to 3 hours. Check it in 2 hours, see if it doubled in size. If it did, you're good to go. If it did not, if it's still slow, give it another hour. Sourdough, you have to have patience, okay? When this doubles in size, we're gonna come back, we're gonna deflate it, we're gonna shape it into our round loaf, or you're gonna cut it in half and shape 2 loaves, just like I shaped the loaf here. And I'm kind of skipping that step in the video because I don't think you guys necessarily need to see that. And I want to bake this bread that I've had out now, this loaf that's ready to go. So you're gonna shape it, and then you're gonna put it in either back in the bowl for another 2 to 3 hours until it doubles in size, or 2 bowls if you're doing 2 smaller loaves, or you're going to use one of these proofer baskets like this. And I'll leave a link I'll leave a link to 2 smaller ones for bread, and then I'll leave a link to this one. I think this is a 10-inch or 10.5-inch. This is for larger loaves of bread, okay? And this is what I'll be using. This is the bread now. This is that bread recipe. But I did it last night so that we could move right into the baking. So now, 450 degrees, okay? I'm bringing over my Le Creuset pan, my pot. This is the chef's pot. Now I am going to be using a silicone bread raiser. Now I know some of you don't like to cook in silicone. You can go ahead and use parchment paper if you want, okay? It just makes taking the bread out easier, and make sure, because sourdough is a little sticky, it just makes sure that it doesn't, your loaf doesn't like stick to the bottom, okay? This is just going to make it easier. Now what I do here is I'm going to take this, and we're going to just, by holding lightly, we're going to flip this over, and it's going to go right into my pan, just like that. Now this is could be the fun part, it could be the scary part. Now for me, I have not gotten good yet at making shapes and designs and all of that, so I just do a simple cut of the dough, okay? So, but you could do, you know, you could try out designs if you want. We're just really just kind of airing out you're allowing this to kind of steam. So now don't saw it. I see people sawing their dough. Don't saw it, okay? Because it just disrupts the rise on it, okay? So there it is. Okay, I just did one. Typically they say to, if you're going to add an egg wash, I like to add an egg wash. I like the golden, more golden crust. You can use a milk wash. You don't have to use a wash at all. If you want to add any kind of topping on this, sesame seed, poppy seed, anything like that, you're going to want to, of course, put something on here to make the seed stick. Typically they say to egg wash it first, then make your slice, because you really don't want your egg wash inside your bread there. However, I don't like getting my slicer dirty. You know, I don't trust my hands to even wash that. So I just like to wipe it with any kind of flour that might be on it, and that's it. So I slice mine first, and then I add my egg wash. But you can do whatever it is you want to do, okay? I just avoid getting the egg wash in the crack. Okay, and we're going to go right up to the tip of it and just work around it. And I did put flour. I sprinkled a little bit of flour. I used that that little tea ball to put flour on this last night, so it didn't stick to my material, my cloth that comes with your rattan proofing basket. So it'll have some flour on here, but it doesn't, I don't mess with it. I've tried, like, you know, wiping off excess, but sometimes I deflate my bread, and I don't trust my hands to do it. So we're going to just go around. We'll take our time. I'm going to spin this. Baking bread is definitely one of those relaxing things. For me, at least. So I try never to rush. I just enjoy the process, and I'm just so grateful and thankful that I even have the ability to do this once again. I prayed for this. I prayed for this. So, all right. So then that is it with that. Now, I like to just lightly, with a water bottle, I bought a water bottle just for baking, and I like to just spray a little bit of water on there. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to place the lid on it. Okay, now it's going to go in the oven at 450 degrees. It's going to be roughly about 35 minutes. Okay, at the 20-minute mark, about 20-25 minutes, the last 10-15 minutes, I'll go in and I'm going to take this lid off, but I'll show you that part when I get to it, so you can see what it looks like. Okay, all right, it's baked now for 20 minutes, so now we're going to remove the top. Ooh, look at all that steam. And I just wanted to show you what it looks like. All right, now we're going to put it back in the oven to brown up for another 15 minutes or so. There it is. My slice kind of disappeared, and this bubbled a little, but every time you bake a loaf it's going to look a little different. So I'm going to let this cool just for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to take it over to the butcher block and get it on a rack to cool all the way. I'm going to just see, it just makes, this little thing just makes it so much easier. And I'm going to just kind of lift it off of here, pull that out, and now I'm going to let my bread just rest. Oh, but it sounds so good. Oh, it sounds so good. Okay, I'll let that cool. I don't want to cut into it while it's warm because it will dry out your bread. But when this cools down, I'll be back and we'll slice it. I just got it off the rack, and here it is in all its glory. I'll flip it over so you can see the underside, and oh, just so you can hear that crust. Okay, and I know the last time I struggled cutting into this bread, I finally found my extra long bread knife. So we're gonna use this to cut into this here. All right. Okay. It's still a bit hot on the inside. Alright, well then, get that. You can see the hug the camera. So there it is. Now it's steaming. I probably should have let it cool another hour or so. But look at that. Now I would love to get to, now this isn't going to be that just so you know, this isn't going to be that bread loaf here. I'll show you this side. And again, probably should have let this cool a little bit more. But this isn't going to be like some of the beautiful sourdoughs. This is just to get you started on a simple loaf of bread, okay? And then the sky's the limit. If you can do a simple 4-ingredient loaf of bread, the sky is the limit. All right, I'm going to save the ends for Eric. He loves the ends. I'm going to cut into a slice here so that you can see what a slice looks like, and hopefully there you go. Now, I used to make sourdough a lot before the accident, I just, it makes me want to cry. Because I'm just so thankful. I'm just so thankful to be back here doing these things. And so, all right, I'm gonna cut a little piece here and try a little piece. Oh, they're so good. It's got such a beautiful sourdough flavor on it. It's spongy and tender. The crust is crunchy. It's chewy. Oh, this would make the best grilled cheese sandwich, which is probably what I'm going to use this loaf for. So, you guys, let me take you back into my little office area and we'll wrap this up. I hope, I pray that this was fun for you, that this was simple for you, easy to follow. That's my hope. Lord, let me edit this properly so this video is a blessing to everyone who's watching this on the other side of this camera, who desperately just wants to make a loaf of sourdough bread. And here is the slice. It is absolutely beautiful. It is, oh, it's chewy, and it is, it's sourdough, and we made it together. And I hope that this video blesses you, and I hope that this is the first of many loaves that you bake in your kitchen, you guys. God love you. God bless you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being here and trusting me and my lead on, you know, I'm just a mom. I'm no professional. I don't sell my baked goods. I don't do nothing like that. I just bake bread because it just makes me happy. And I'm so glad that that the Lord has blessed me with this opportunity to pour from my cup into yours on how to make a simple loaf of bread. So if you have any questions, you guys, leave them down below for me. I will try my very best to answer them. Members of the channel, I really want to try to start doing lives, like after videos like this, where I can just jump on without, you know, without having to worry about trolling and all of that. Memberships on the channel kind of like close those doors, and then it's just us, and it's just a safer space. It's a quieter space. But I would love to start doing just sit down lives, chit chats, where we can talk about things like this, like baking bread together and canning and cooking from scratch, and, you know, and all the things that not only empower us and bring us joy, but also may one day be a necessity. You know, as food prices continue to rise, as food, commercially, you know, produced food continues to, you know, the big recall recently on the carrots and the, just being able to grow your own, cook your own, bake your own, make your own. It's not only rewarding and empowering, but it also brings you such a sense of security. And so I really hope that this blesses you, and I can't wait to start making more bread with you. Let me know how you guys do. Let me know if you struggle with a sourdough bread and how this recipe works for you. Again, it's not mine. It all goes to Cooking with Ireland. I will again leave his link down below. But yeah, this is the beginning, you guys. The beginning. The sky's the limit. Once you can master simple, you know, 4-ingredient loaf of bread, the sky is the limit. You can make anything. I'm so excited for you. All right, God bless you guys. I will see you back here soon. So much love to you. Bye.